It's time to get the cruise updates you are asking for, just the cruise news and developments you want to know about. I'm Gary Bembridge, and in this, my latest Tips for Travelers cruise update, I'm focusing on the 4 cruising updates that you have been most asking for me to cover. First off, one of the things that I've been asked to update is around the area of vaccinations and cruising. I did a poll where almost 3/4 of you said that you did agree with the idea that cruise lines should make vaccinations required before people can cruise. This is something that most other cruise channels and sites have found. So what exactly is happening? There's one really big move which you may have heard about. Saga Cruises in the UK have become the first cruise line to require everyone that cruises with them to be vaccinated. People that are exempt from having a vaccination or just don't want to have one for any reason will not be allowed to cruise, and they will receive a full refund for any existing booking. Announcing this, Saga said, and I quote, "We have taken the decision to introduce the requirement that all guests must be fully vaccinated. This means that guests must have received their full 2 doses of the COVID-19 vaccination at least 14 days before traveling with us." To be able to cruise the Saga, you do have to be over 50, and the passengers are often in the 70s and older age group. And so they went on to say, of course, that this is the group that is most at risk, which is one of the reasons they brought in this whole ruling. So they're the first to move. Other lines we know are looking at it. The Norwegian Cruise Line Group and also the Royal Caribbean Group have said that they are looking at it, but no decisions have been made. The Cruise Line Association, CLEAR, they also came out recently and spoke about vaccines, saying they do not see vaccines as being the silver bullet that will help cruising come back quickly. The reason being that it's going to take some time for vaccines to roll out. They do believe that the protocols that have been agreed with all the testing, masks, social distancing, reduced capacity, cleaning and so on, that will be the key to most cruise lines and most cruising being able to get up and running soon. Vaccines perhaps are a longer term solution. So this is definitely something to watch. So that's the latest update. Saga have moved, no news on the other lines, but we do know that they are looking at it. You asked for the latest outlook on cruise resumptions. The biggest development here is that May has become the month that most ocean cruise lines have for the return to sailing dates, for now anyway. In recent days, Norwegian Cruise Line, Oceania, and Regent Seven Seas have joined Azamara, Celebrity, Crystal, Cunard, Fred Olsen, Holland America, Princess, Virgin Voyages, and Windstar cancelling cruises right through until May. Now, Disney Cruises has taken all their April sailings off their website, but they've not yet cancelled, certainly at the time of recording, existing bookings. Yet, anyway. Now, as the lines that moved to May have cited the current situation with the virus and the cases and the challenges of working through the CDC framework for conditional sailing as a reason for moving to May, I think we should definitely watch for the remaining US-based lines like Carnival and MSC to follow. I will cover the latest, by the way, on river cruising return later in this episode. Now, as the dates are changing all the time, and we all no doubt expect the remaining lines to move into at least May any day now, I have an easy and a simple way to keep up with the latest return to sail dates. Just visit the constantly updated list by month for both ocean and river on my website, tipsfortravelers.com. That's the best way of staying up to date with the very latest. The next update is one thing that I definitely had not seen coming, and that is that the Royal Caribbean Group have sold Azamara Cruises. This leaves them focused on their main Royal Caribbean line, Celebrity Cruises and Silver Sea Cruises brands. Now, Richard Fain, who is the chairman and the chief executive officer of Royal Caribbean Group, he said, and I quote here, "Our strategy has evolved into placing more of our resources behind 3 global brands, Royal Caribbean International, Celebrity Cruises, and Silver Sea, and working to grow them as we emerge from this unprecedented period." So Royal Caribbean have sold the line for around $200 million to Sycamore Partners. It's a private equity firm. They've acquired the entire Azamara brand, including its 3-ship fleet, and the deal is expected to close really soon in the first quarter of 2021. Now, the Azamara Chief Operating Officer, Carol Cabezas, who I hope I pronounced that correctly, she has been appointed the president of the brand, so is going with it. So how does that affect you if you have booked on Azamara? That's what I've been asked to update. Now, I've looked and searched, and there is no information on that in detail as yet, but it's definitely assumed that all those cruises will stay in place as planned, as with prices, etc. Of course, if that evolves, I will keep you updated. Many of you have asked what the lines planning on upgrade for 2021 are, most of which were put on hold when the shutdown happened. Now, it's proven quite a task to get a reliable update, but here's what I found out for you on the upgrades of ships. Let me get the bad news out of the way first. The upgrades due on 5 Celebrity ships under their Celebrity Revolution program to bring some of the fantastic design, feel and upgrades from Celebrity Edge and Apex, these are on hold. There is no timeline when they will happen. So while Millennium, Summit, Equinox and Silhouette were all done by February 2020, those for Constellation, Infinity, Eclipse, Solstice and Reflection that are due to be done in 2020-2021, they have no dates planned, so they're all on hold. Cunard's Queen Mary 2, which had been due for a refit to install the new Mariel Wellness and Beauty Spa concept, that was introduced on board Queen Elizabeth in late 2018. There's other unconfirmed changes. That whole refit is also on hold and no date has been announced when that rescheduled upgrade will happen. Oceania Nautica is the latest ship in their fleet that was due to go through the Oceania Next refurbishment. It was also the last that was due to go through. That updates staterooms, suites, public spaces, has nicer decor, softer colors. It's a really nice upgrade that they've been doing. This is all on hold, though there is some hints that it could take place in the next 12 months. Silver Sea, Silver Wind was due to go through their Project Invictus refit. This is similar to Silver Cloud. It upgraded with strength and hull for ice and other expedition and decor upgrades. This again is on a hold with no date confirmed. Royal Caribbean has put upgrades of 4 of their ships on their Royal Amplified refurbishment program, also on hold for now. So that's Explorer of the Seas, Allure of the Seas, Liberty of the Seas and Adventure of the Seas. So no timing on when those will be upgraded. The only major refurbishments taking place in 2021 itself now seem to be the following. Carnival Victory is going through upgrades to become Carnival Radiance. It's going to have 4 specialty restaurants added, new bars, features like the water park and ropes course all added. So that's a big upgrade that's happening. Windstar is still upgrading their Star Legend and Star Pride, both of which are actually being stretched and they're having extra cabins added to it. P&O Australia is also continuing with the upgrade of 2 ships that are being added to their fleet. That's Pacific Encounter, which was previously Star Princess, and Pacific Adventure, which was previously Golden Princess. Also, Fred Olsen is doing work on the 2 Holland America ships that they bought to turn them into Borealis and Bolette. So that's the situation on upgrades. If that changes, I'll of course keep you posted. Now, next up, I've had many people asking me to do an update on river cruising in Europe, and there's a couple of things that you need to know. First of all, it has seemed really quiet with not a lot happening because there hasn't been the constant round of cancellations that we've all become used to with ocean cruising. So does this mean that all is well with river cruising in 2021? Not quite, unfortunately. Now remember, the main European river cruising season normally runs about 9 to 10 months of the year between March and end of October, beginning of November. And a number of ships do then run some December Christmas market cruises, but the bulk of it is that March to October, November period. Based on the way that 2020 played out, there have been no advertised or scheduled European river cruises between the end of summer 2020, when a few operated, until March 2021 that they could cancel. So 6 months of cruising, which couldn't be cancelled anyway because there weren't any. However, things are starting to change and lines are already starting to push back the start of the 2021 season. Lines that rely heavily on English-speaking passengers, so they need to travel from North America, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, those lines have been the first to push back start dates from March already, because it's very clear that travel restrictions make the usual March season start update basically impossible. So in the days before recording this, Avalon Waterways joined Viking River Cruises in cancelling right through to April. Crystal Cruises has already cancelled right through until May. With the outlook on international travel looking gloomy for some months at the beginning of 2021, I expect those lines and others that rely on international travelers very heavily, like AMA Waterways, Uniworld, Scenic, and Emerald, they will start to push back start dates further and pretty soon. If you live outside the EU and are looking to book a river cruise on an English-speaking line like those I mentioned, I strongly recommend look towards the end of the season for now if you want to ensure that it's likely to happen for you. I do actually expect regional lines like Nico Cruises and cross-EU lines like Cross Europe. This is actually the largest European river cruise line. Now these have mostly French, German, Italian, Spanish guests, so EU guests. They are likely to be able to start sailing earlier than those international lines because movement of residents between EU countries is less constrained, there's less rules, and so they're more likely to be able to start up and fill their ships. However, the third thing to remember is that due to the number of guests and the nature of river cruising, river cruises do not have to follow the same protocols and guidelines that have been put in place for ocean cruises. River cruises have actually developed and agreed to follow a kind of a hybrid of rules put in place for land-based hotels and resorts with some of the key ocean ship protocols. And even more importantly, they do not have to go through as many hurdles to get approval to start sailing in Europe. They also don't have to take nearly as long as ocean ships to return to service. So this creates all sorts of different dynamics. For example, crew numbers are small, at most 40 on a ship and often much less. They all live in Europe. It's easy and fast to recrew river cruise ships, to train them, to get ready to go. They don't have to bring thousands of crew back from across Asia, so it makes them easier to start up quicker. Also, due to the lack of storage on the ships, they load supplies like food and drink pretty much every day when cruising. They only carry about 80 to 100 passengers, unlike these vast cruise ships. So restocking is faster, it's simpler, it's more local, and it's really easy to get up and running. But despite all of this, you might find the protocols that are put in place may put you off river cruising. There were a couple of outbreaks linked to river cruises running in Europe, not that many, but there were some. And so some of these protocols were tightened up, mostly with lines introducing much more pre-boarding or pre-departure testing and medical screenings. But in terms of protocols, they have frequent temperature checks, they have enhanced cleaning, they've reduced capacity to enable physical social distancing. So social distancing is really important. Wearing of masks on excursions and around the ship, except when you're seated and drinking and eating, for example. They've removed buffets. They have one-way systems around the ship. They have dining in multiple venues or in staggered seatings to enable social distancing and so on. So those protocols may still put you off. So to summarize, the start of the European river cruise season in March is looking challenging. Lines led by those relying on English-speaking international guests have started shifting those dates into April and May already, and that could go a little bit further depending on how much travel opens. So if you are looking to go on a river cruise in 2021, look as late as you possibly can. Either book right at the end of the season or hold back before making a booking till you see how this all plays out, bearing in mind that river cruising could come on stream much quicker once they get the go. If you found this latest update helpful or interesting, remember I have loads more Tips for Travelers episodes. They're packed full of cruising updates, advice and tips, so why not enjoy another one right now?